A customer hit a manager with a lizard. This story was sent in by Dana. And at the time, Dana was working for a Perkins restaurant in Ohio. Dana says she knows this story is going to sound crazy and wild, but she said it was covered on the local news up there, so you can fact check if you want. On this day, a guy came in and he bypassed the host stand because there wasn't a host, and he went and sat himself in a booth. I said no one noticed him at first because he did sit over in the corner and he was in a closed area of the restaurant. Dana said one of her coworkers finally realized that the gentleman was sitting over in the closed area, and she went up to greet him. The server approaches the gentleman, hands him a menu, and he says he needs a few minutes, so she goes to the back to make his drink. Dana says she was taking care of a couple of tables close to him, and then she realized that this guy started acting kind of weird. She said that he was talking to himself very loudly, and not only that, but he started to crouch down and get underneath the booth. Dana says she came to the back and was speaking to the server that had greeted him and told her that she believed this guy was homeless. And mentally, he didn't seem to be all there. The server finishes making his drink. She's going back to the table to see if he's ready to order, and she finds him crouched down underneath the booth. She's trying to talk to him. The guy's talking to himself, and he gets frustrated with her, comes up from under the booth, grabs the menu, and slings it at her. The menu comes across and hits the server in the face, and at that point, she storms off from this table. She's pissed, and she goes right to the manager to let him know, hey, I believe I have a homeless man at my table. I don't think he's mentally all there because he was hiding under the booth, and he threw a menu and hit me in the face. So at this point, the manager's going out to confront him to ask him to leave the premises. That as the manager approached the table to talk to the guy started yelling at the manager, quickly stood up from the booth, pulled the iguana out from underneath his shirt, and was swinging it around like a whip. At this point, the manager's stepping back, trying to avoid getting hit in the face with this iguana that's getting slung around, and he tells the man he needs to leave, and at that point, the guy finishes whipping it around and throws it at the manager. The iguana barely misses the manager and flies in the floor and slides across the dining room. While the manager is still trying to process what the hell just happened, the guy runs over, grabs up the iguana, and runs out the front door. The staff did call the cops, and the cops did find him not far from the restaurant. When they found him, he still had the iguana concealed underneath his shirt, and he was acting like he was going to run out in the middle of traffic. Now, the man was arrested, and he was charged with disorderly conduct and animal cruelty. The cops ended up taking the iguana to the local Humane Society, where it had suffered a broken leg, and it was diagnosed with a bone disease. As this is being covered on the news, the Humane Society receives a call in from a lady claiming that that was her son's iguana that had ran off and they'd been looking for it. So the Humane Society asked the lady to come down to prove that it's her iguana, and she gives a story that the iguana fell out of a tree and her son asked to keep it, and she allowed him to keep it, so they bought him a tank. Apparently, when her son had him out playing with him in the backyard, he actually got away from him and disappeared. Just as they were about to turn the iguana over to the lady, another person come forward and said it was their iguana that had escaped a few months back, and it was near the same neighborhood as the lady that was saying they found it in a tree. Anyway, that last person was able to actually prove through documentation that this iguana was theirs and he was given back in their care.